Amazing! What an incredible group of people. Hi. I see some red hats somewhere.
There are a ton of red hats. Being that, you were signing today.
Yes.
What's it like for you seeing so many people dressed up as Agent Carter?
Weird. It's really weird. Oh, it's lovely. It's very humbling. When you do a show, I did Captain America 5 years ago, and you'd never think that 5 years later I'd be here seeing people that Peggy's really influenced and inspired. So that's a credit to, by no means just me, there's so many people that are involved in the making of Peggy, and the costume, of course, the writers, the producers, all the crew and the family at Marvel. So it just feels like such an amazing kind of support system that I feel from the fans, which definitely helps me carry on when I'm feeling very tired.
When you first joined Captain America, the first Avenger, did you have any idea that the character of Agent Carter would play such an important role in the Marvel Universe?
No, I was kind of, established in England mainly as a theatre actress, and then I got the call saying, do you want to audition for this? I was like, nah, okay. Because you never know, and I tend to approach every part with the exact same kind of mindset, which is you do the best you can in the room, and if the job's meant to be for you, then it's yours, and you go and do it and get paid and go home. So there's no kind of expectation of where your career's going to go. So I loved the audition, I loved the script, and when I got it, it was just such a turning point in my career because I'd never been involved with anything that kind of genre-based or commercial superhero kind of world. So opening up to a whole different... So I don't want to ignore all of you guys. And it was just really, really refreshing to be in something so different. But I had no idea that 5 years later I'd be here kind of fronting my own show. And such an empowering show for women mostly. But
who follows Hayley on social media? Steve Carter. Okay, well, let's go right to that then. Do you ever think... Who has seen her dub smash videos? Did you ever think your love of dub smashing would ever lead to dub smash wars for charity?
Well, the thing is, I started dub smashing backstage at cons, just to pass the time. A few months ago, it was actually Alana Masterson from The Walking Dead, and she introduced me to it, and I was like, this is amazing. And so I just started doing it, and then of course I showed James Darcy, who plays Jarvis, and we were having fun at San Diego Comic-Con. And then Chloe and Clark were like, what are you guys doing? We were like, oh, we're just being awesomely creative on social media. And they were like, oh yeah, well, we can do that. And then it just got a little bit competitive, then it got really competitive, then it's now to the death. And it's for a good cause. We're all going to die in the process of it and lose each other's friendships, but it's, someone will get something out of it.
Well, I want to talk about the very first video that you posted for Dub Smash Wars for charity. It had to do with Miss Piggy.
It did.
So we were chatting a little bit backstage before I came out. What was that like for you meeting Miss Piggy for the first time?
I was so intimidated. She's such a diva. Oh my God, she hardly even looked at me. She kind of like went. And James was like, oh, well, you're very pretty, Miss Piggy. And she went, oh, well, you surprised? Just getting kind of her hair done and everything, and we did it, and she was game for it, which was great. But it was, she's kind of a legend, really. But it was very kind of. It took about a month of phone calls and pleading with people and getting Louis D'Esposito, the co-president of Marvel. I was calling him up, going. Can you help us out? Who do you know that's famous that we can steal for this? So it was really because he put in the calls. We've been very fortunate to be doing that. So that's the first one. And what we understand now is that we've got, I think, Wednesday will be when Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. post their dub smash in kind of reply to ours. And then there's a second round and then a finale. So please vote Team Carter. In fact, vote for the best videos. Don't vote who because some people have been voting for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and they haven't even posted anything yet now.
That's cheating.
And then they might be crap, and they probably will be compared to us. Vote quality
Team Carter. Well, another time that you broke the internet was when someone asked who you would like to play on Doctor Who.
Again, that's just like, oh yeah.
Were you surprised by, honestly, you broke the internet when you said you wanted to play the Doctor?
Well, you know, I like to play with kind of the gender issue of casting in you know, various films and TV and things like, you know, someone said to me, would you love to play a Bond girl one day? And I was like, hell no, I'd rather play Bond. So when someone just said, do you want to be the Doctor's companion? I was like, no, I want to play the Doctor. And so I carried on the joke. But then the internet went mental for it. So, which is kind of sod's law means I probably will never even get an audition to play the Doctor. I'm probably going to be banned from that whole institution. But we'll see.
Well, my next question is going to be, so you haven't heard from Stephen Moffat, the executive producer of Doctor Who?
No, I've been blacklisted.
Stephen! I like how I say Stephen like I know him. Come on. Well, I know you guys have lots of questions for Hayley here, so we're actually going to have Gordon set up in the middle. If you guys have a question, you can... Yeah? Oh, you guys are nice. You guys are being... Oh, there's some running. We run here in Canada. I've noticed it. So enthusiastic. Wow.
What's the one question? Where's the restroom?
It's gonna be a really good question. Oh, and we're moving up. See, look at all these people. Okay, if you're ready.
All right, hello.
Hello.
So, as you know, we were talking about the Dub Smash War, and I know that most people here are probably supporting Team Carter. And I was wondering if there was any way that this whole room could somehow get involved with the war.
Well, I love the idea of that. The only thing is, it's got to be a surprise from S.H.I.E.L.D. And if we dub now, everyone's going to know about it on the internet, so it kind of defeats the point. But maybe the next year's competition. It's going to go on for a long time.
My question is, did you anticipate there was going to be a season 2 for Agent Carter? And then when you did find out, were you kind of like excited because then you could expand, I guess, the story more of what happened from like season 1?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't anticipate there'd be a second season. I know that critically it was well received. I don't think the ratings had shot through the roof to the point where it was therefore going to be a done deal that we'd immediately have a second season. So it was really to do with the online support of the fans and also just the fact that the reviews have been so positive. I think also I wanted, and we're starting to explore this in the second season, just she's in a different place. She's gone to Los Angeles, so she's in the Hollywood kind of glamorous world where they had this kind of gangster, dark underbelly in the 40s, which was kind of like LA Confidential, film noir-esque. So it's taken on that kind of tone. And then also she's no longer grieving Steve, so she's ready to open up her heart, so she's in a much lighter, happier place within herself. And then of course we've got Jarvis being crazy Jarv, three-piece woolen suit and his absolute dislike for palm trees, and he's very, very funny. So I think there'll be lots of different angles, and I think we're going to delve into her past a little bit. There'll be certainly more kind of love interests, love triangles, and yeah, maybe. I think that the great thing is that we know that because of Winter Soldier, we know that Peggy lives into her mid-90s, so there's so much scope. We know that she's she found S.H.I.E.L.D. and therefore she has this incredibly full life. We know that at one point she gets married and has children. So, you know, I could be hopefully doing this in 3 or 4 decades from now.
What upcoming Marvel movie are you most excited for, and what's your opinion on Civil War?
Well, you see, I'm a bit controversial in this respect because I'm not really into the comic book superhero films. Sorry, guys. It's just not I love being part of it. I completely get it. But I'm actually clueless as to what's coming out apart from Civil War, because I went and gate crashed the set about 3 times in that. What I'm most looking forward to is seeing his kind of mesh stomach. Which I did kind of pat down gently, and I said, to make sure he was still there. I'm most looking forward to seeing kind of the development of Chris's characterization. I think he's just gotten better with every Cap role he's played in the films, and I think they get darker, they get more psychologically interesting. We'll see. He wouldn't even tell me the story of what happens, so I wasn't even allowed that. But Peggy's kind of in there somewhere.
Okay, that's good.
Hi, Hayley.
Hello.
I know, like Morgan said, we all love your Dub Smash videos, and you said you're really humbled by us just like Peggy behind on. How threatened were you, though, by Clark Gregg in person?
What, when he dressed up as Peggy? You mean?
Yeah.
Well, I was quite tired, and so I went to bed early. So I just kind of ordered room service and sat in my room as James went downstairs to with all the team of Shield to get ready to go to this big Entertainment Weekly party that I decided to opt out of. And he kept texting me and they're all going crazy behind this curtain, overexcited and really proud of themselves of what they're doing. And I was like, it's gonna be fine, guys. You know, James, we've nailed it. We're fine. I'm just gonna have my chicken Caesar salad and go to bed. And then James texted me and went, oh shit. Sorry to swear, children. Watch your language. So I was like, oh, it can't be that bad. But then the exciting thing is that Shield were trying to upload it on Instagram and on Twitter, but for some reason the internet was down, and they thought for about a good 20 minutes they'd actually lost the video. But James was sat in the van with them all, going to this party, as I'm sat there going, I just want to see it. And they were losing their minds because they were that close to not having got it. And then just as they pulled up at the party, Clark found it again and went, oh my God, I got it, posted it. And I watched it and I was livid. I was so upset with how good it was. I was disgusted. I was fuming. And that was why then I was just like, oh, this is the saddest day of my life. And then James and I, we obviously, neither of us had slept properly because we turned up the next morning, both of us had bags under each other's eyes, and James just goes, there's only one way to win this. I was like, tell me. And he goes, it means a lot of money, a lot of time, and a lot of travel. I said, I'm in. I don't care what it costs. I'm in. He went, we need to go to Atlanta. We need to get Chris. And I was like, yes, hell yes. So I called up Chris immediately, and he was like, what? I was like, okay, so we're gonna get up at 3:30 in the morning, come to Atlanta for a 9-second dub smash, and then we'll fly straight back. So we won't interfere with you. We know that we're filming on set. You just need to be in your cap and we need Shield. And he's like, oh, then can we have a snog afterwards? We need to kiss each other. And he's like, oh yeah, that's fine. That's a long story.
Dub Smash could be such serious business.
Oh,
seriously, think of your life.
Oh, I'm really sad. I really need a boyfriend. I'm joking, don't tell that on social media. I'm really desperate. No, Dub Smash is just doing fine for me right now.
Hi, Hayley.
Hello.
Thanks so much for coming. I think one of the things people love so much about Peggy is her fighting style, and that she just kind of fights with everything that's around her that she uses as a weapon. So my question is, what has been your favorite weapon of opportunity that Peggy has used?
That's a good question. Well, I love the diner scene. She uses a plate and kicks a chair, and it's a perfect example of her fighting style. She's not someone that's, like myself, not particularly skilled, but very confident, which is is incredibly deadly combination for Peggy's enemies and for my stunt men. And I was rehearsing that I have to kick this clipboard out of this man's hand, which I filmed yesterday. And it was at night time, it's like midnight, and he's like, do you want to try it? And he held the clipboard up like kind of like this, and he's like 6'3", and he just went, if you want to practice it. So I meant to just I meant to like tap it gently with my foot, and then he reacts by pretending it's smacking him in the face.
Oh, no.
So I kind of caught him off guard, and I just went, ugh, and the clipboard just went flying. And it just like landed over the other side of the parking lot where we were filming. And he was like, whoa, okay. It's like, you were really intense. I'm sorry. But I think what Marvel have done very kindly and brilliantly is used my skills as the strengths of her fight sequences in the show, that she doesn't have to be incredible at martial arts. She's just very resourceful around her, physically capable, very present, spontaneous, and I think that kind of makes her a lot more relatable, as well as a dirty fighter, which is kind of more my style anyway.
Okay. Hey, I'm Jason.
Hi.
Hi. Otherwise known as Jason_the_ninja, so follow me on Twitter everywhere. Anyways, Hayley, I want to know what your philosophy on life is, and I know, it's a simple question. And what the dog was, because there's the most adorable white dog in your Dub Smash videos. I don't know what
dog?
Yeah.
That's Arthur, Chloe Bennett's dog.
Oh, really?
James stole it. I'm going to use this, and then just picked it up. Sorry, go. So, what's my philosophy of life?
Yeah.
Oh, bloody hell. Well, it's ever evolving, and that's the exciting thing about life. And as you grow up and have many experiences, and your perception starts to shift when you travel and get a sense that every story has, every life has a story and has a past that's very rich and very full. And I feel kind of grateful enough that I've had many experiences that are constantly shifting my perception of what I feel like the world is about. But you know, I love like George Bernard Shaw. He says, you know, it's not about finding yourself. You know, there's this emphasis nowadays. I'm like, I just want to find out who I am. And I find it a bit indulgent, actually. And I think instead of like, I'm going to go and sit and find myself, I think it should be more about creating yourself. Creating, inventing, discovering, exploring, expanding yourself, but projected outwards. So it's not like, I'm just going to sit here and be amazing. It's like, it's not about you. It's kind of strengthening your skills as a human being, and then extending them outwards so that you make a contribution to the world. And I think that in itself is great.
You're a lot more beautiful in person.
You saying I'm ugly on screen? Outrageous.
My question today is, how real is Cartolini?
How real? Like, have I hooked up with?
I mean, obviously you have, right?
Oh, well, I mean, I can't really say in the sense that I think she is probably, I'm making up things as I go along here. I don't want to I don't want to speculate, and I don't want to put ideas into the writer's minds that don't feel like are founded on anything real other than answering a really exciting fan base. I'm a huge fan of Cartonelli, as is Lindsay, and we are huge supporters of LGBT rights, and we hope that there's more diversity on television, promoting that you know, the importance of those kind of relationships, both romantic and platonic. I think the thing that stands out for me in Angie's relationship, Peggy and Angie, is that it's seldom that you see on television a friendship between two women that isn't founded on the interest of a man that they're talking about. And also isn't competitive or bitchy. I think there's a genuine affection that they have for each other. Whether or not you want to project the idea that that's romantic or sexual onto it is entirely up to you and how you want to view it. But I think there's a mutual respect that's quite rare, that I want to see more of in film and stories, because I think it reflects much more the quality of female relationships that we have with each other in society, which a lot of the time are not bitchy and competitive. If any woman was like that in my life, they wouldn't be in my life. So we want to have less of them on screen and more of a much more honest representation of female relationships.
Hi there. Continuing on that line, I'm asking on behalf of AfterEllen.com. We're big fans of you. And I just wanted to ask, despite a villainous kiss, there's no actual lesbians for that on the show, as you just expressed, yet queer women are really attracted to the show. Could you comment maybe on why that is, and now that there is a Boston marriage kind of coming in the next season, can you speak to that a little bit?
Wait, so the first part of the question is why do you think it's had such a support from the gay community?
Yeah.
Because gays have good taste. Is the only thing I can come up with that one. And the second question, so what was it again?
The fact that they're moving in together.
Oh, Angie and
yeah.
what's the face? Thank you. I temporarily forget.
Well, it is a Boston-type marriage, but a Boston marriage used to have other connotations too, right? So
absolutely. I think why not? I fully support that idea. I think it's a great idea. It's a very modern notion. I think relationships are so much more interesting and complex and grey area than we like to kind of portray in the media. I think they're a lot more richer and fuller, whether there is a romantic element to them or not. So I think that Angie and Peggy are kind of ahead of their time in the way that they're kind of modern women living in the 1940s in what's essentially a man's world and trying to make it. But I think that Lindsay plays her so brilliantly, and there's a real affection Lindsay and I have for each other as two actresses working together. And that's something that I've tried to have with every actor that's come in, even if they've only got one scene to play in the show, because it's essentially my show and I'm leading it. I'm leading the tone and the atmosphere on set. So I want to make sure that anyone that comes in just for a day or 2 days feels validated, feels welcomed, feels appreciated, and as a result, they do their best work because of it. So I'm very keen on forging important professional working relationships that seem to spill over onto the screen and just tell a stronger, better story. I've gone off onto a random tangent, but there you go.
Hi. I'm just wondering what your reaction was to when you saw older Peggy in Ant-Man on screen.
I haven't seen it. I know, I'm sure it's crushing the box office, the fact that I haven't paid my ticket yet, but I will go and see it. I've got a photograph, and obviously I was there, so I know, I look like. I love it. I think she looks great. She's got really good hair. And I'm like, God damn it, I can't get my hair to do that by myself. So I'm just hoping that I age as gracefully as Peggy. I'm gonna have to hire a permanent hairdresser. But yeah, I think she ages well. She's pretty well.
Hi, Hayley.
Hello.
You have some great dialogue on the show, so I wanted to know what your favorite Agent Carter quote is.
It's really hard, because every time I learn lines, as soon as I've delivered them, can't remember them again. Obviously the quote of "I know my value, anyone else's opinion doesn't really matter" is something that I've seen so many people with the tattoos of that quote, which is very moving. And it's and I think that really sums up who Peggy is and who she discovers herself to be towards the end of the first season. And also it reveals that her agenda, the reason why she's doing this, she's carrying on this work, not for the fame, not for the praise, not for this kind of social status, but for the labour itself, for the fulfilment of doing the job to the best of her ability, because she knows who she is. And I think that's such a strong and such a positive and inspiring place to be, rather than a kind of a desperate need to be validated by other people. It's like, well, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter what people think of you. In fact, it's actually none of your business. The most important thing is what you think of yourself. And that's something that Peggy has in spades, which is why she can walk into a room and not be intimidated by the men. And she's not focusing on her insecurities about it, in being in an environment like that. And it means there's more headspace for her to focus on the witty retorts, the clever comebacks, devising intelligent plans. Because she's got more headspace, because she's focusing on the right things rather than focusing on, oh my God, no one's saying I'm amazing. No one's giving me credit. No one's slapping my ass. Yeah. I don't know why she's suddenly American like that. I'm really sorry. I'm sorry if there are any Americans here.
Not open.
I hope that kind of answers your question.
Hi, Hayley. Hi. My question is, may you please compare how you reacted to the first episode of Agent Carter, so when you were reading the script, to how you reacted when you're reading the script for the finale?
Well, the great thing was they were kind of writing it as they went along, so I didn't have all the scripts at once. I was having the next episode given to me a couple of days before we started filming it, so it was very fresh. I think what I loved was the arc of Steve, and how that manifests in, obviously having a vial of his blood and making sure it doesn't get into the wrong hands, and doubting Howard and all these things that are happening. But ultimately, personally, it's a story about her grief, and it's how she overcomes that, and how she manages to move on, and how she also at the same time manages to protect the memory of Steve by destroying his blood, destroying any kind of evidence so it doesn't get into the wrong hands. And I just thought it was very beautiful and very sensitive, because I think so many people who saw Captain America loved Steggy, as they call it, Peggy and Steve. And they loved that relationship. So I think if we'd gone straight into the first season with a new love interest, I think it would have undermined what they had together in the first season. So it was very important that they established what the loss of him did to her, and the fact that she still tries to carry on his work throughout the season. And then I think it was just beautifully wrapped up, because I think people can move on, and it's part of human nature to, once you've processed something very painful and something like loss, that there is hope for you to be able to not ever replace that person, but to certainly kind of make way for a new opportunity in your life that gives you greater contentment and companionship. So that's what we're exploring with the second season.
First off, I don't care what the titles on these badges say. Peggy wasn't the Dub Smash winner. Coulson wasn't the Dub Smash loser. As to my question...
Wait, what did you say? You said, I'm not a winner and he's not a loser.
Very nice. As to the question...
No, I really don't understand what you're saying, mate. Sorry.
As to the question, do you have planned out what you're going to have Clark and Chloe do in the odd event that you win the Dub Smash More? I mean, you may as well tell us.
He's not going to get out of this alive, so... That's that guy that had the suit and the messed up makeup.
Yeah. I mean, considering we're going to win, I should have thought this through. I don't know. I mean, I think what we'll end up doing, honestly, is... I can't read that, sorry. I haven't got my glasses on. Can't see, sorry. But you look fabulous. Anyway, we're going to carry on answering the conversation. I think that because there's going to be something... There's going to be a generosity of spirit. Clark and Chloe are wonderful people and great people to be able to work with. And James and I feel that it was, because it was Clark's idea to raise money for charity, that we should keep this whole feel of this generosity of spirit, and how this kind of tongue-in-cheek, let's tease each other, but ultimately we're doing this for a good cause, and it's because it's a lot of fun. And sitting there thinking, oh God, what's Clark going to come up with next? And oh my God, we got that, brilliant, we're going to nail him. All of those things, But I think that I don't want to punish them too much when they lose. I think we'll do something like, we'll do a dub smash where we're all kind of together as a family or something. You know, I think that we don't want to take it too far and end up causing kind of negativity. You know, they're going to hate me when I win, but I want to keep the spirit alive, which is one of generosity and creative fun.
The next 2 videos.
We've already filmed the second one. He's gonna lose his mind. Yeah, we're coming up with the finale at the moment.
Awesome. And no other hints or no hints or anything about the second video?
I'd have to kill you.
Okay. No hints.
Hi. So my question is that in the first season of Agent Carter, Peggy's really inspired by Steve, and he's kind of like a role model a bit. But who are the female role models in Peggy's life?
That's a very good question. Probably not many, actually. Really not many. I mean, she's self-made. We're going to explore a little bit about her background. If we went to a season 3, we'd probably explore it a bit more. I think because it's so unusual for a woman of that time in that situation to have the qualities that Peggy has, I think she was probably more influenced by the men in her life, and certainly maybe there's a mention of a brother and probably her father, who I assume has a military background, so it's in her blood. And I think that she was also brought up to believe and to be taught that she was just as good as the men and just as capable. And that comes, very importantly, comes from men in her life telling her that. And I certainly had it, you know, when I was growing up, my dad was more inclined to tell me that I was smart rather than I was pretty. And I think that kind of served me well, because it meant that I didn't use my feminine looks as my main currency. I looked to develop other aspects of my personality, but I think it's essential as an actor to do that. And I think kind of Peggy's similar. I think she had probably a very stern but understanding father who believed that she could do anything, and a brother that probably teased her enough until she knew how to stand up to him. And then, you know, that's why Angie's so important in her life. Angie's probably the first woman that she's met that she can relate to, but can start to confide in. So, but we'll see how it evolves. It's a question for the writers really, and how they want to explore Peggy. Hello.
Hi. Just wondering, you work with such an amazing cast on Agent Carter, so I was wondering what's been the most memorable moment on set for you?
Oh my goodness me. Well, there's been, you know, everyone that's come on set know that they're coming onto a very happy set. And especially now that we're in our second season, we all know each other incredibly well. So there's an ease and a you know, it's a very relaxed, chilled out atmosphere, as well as you know, a commitment and a focus to getting the work done and the best that we can. But I'm going to have to say that it's to do with James and Dominic, really, who I've known for like the last 10 years back in England, and they're such silly billies, and they're, you know, James is this absolutely heart of gold, and I can make him do anything, which is really fun. He's also great at reacting to pranks. I know I've posted a couple of videos recently of people jumping out at him and him just going apeshit. Sorry! And it's really entertaining. Dominic as well is just, I have this, actually maybe I might post it actually. I've got this video of, we filmed a few days in Universal last season, and I have this video of him pretending he's the Doc from Back to the Future, because we went onto the Universal lot where they have the clock, and he's like, okay, Marty, and he does this whole little sketch. And it's really cute, and I might post it. I'll have to ask him if not, actually I won't ask him, I'll just post it. But you'll get a sense of just the silliness that we have. And I don't know if anyone saw it, I posted recently of Jarvis dancing. It's like a little pelvic thrust. Which just entertains me to no end. Because you just, when you're working the hours that we work, and there's an element of this pressure, of course. You're working with a big, incredibly loved and well-respected institution like Disney and Marvel. There's a responsibility that comes with it, and a level of professionalism that needs to really set the bar high. And you need to be on your game. You need to know exactly what you're doing and make creative choices. But in order to do my best work, I have to have an equal amount of downtime with the people that I'm working with that is fun. So we goof around a lot because I think it actually makes us work better and makes us work harder when the camera's actually rolling. So there'll be a lot more silly stunts that you'll see as the season goes on, and silly pranks, and any recommendations and suggestions, please let me know. I'll do my best to do them, to bring them into fruition.
Hi Peggy. I called you Peggy because I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. You are honestly one of my role models, and you're like perfect. Okay, so my question is, do you think Peggy would come out as a victor in the Hunger Games?
Hell yeah! Yes, of course she would. Her and Katniss, they'd just be awesome together. Now that's the girl I've got a crush on. She's amazing. I think she's a phenomenal actress, and she seems like a very grounded, good, solid person that I'd like to get drunk with.
Hello. Hi. So Cardinelli has come up.
Yeah.
What I'm wondering is what you think about fan fiction and fan art and those kinds of things that fans engage in, and if you've ever read any or seen any that you thought was interesting.
Yeah, I post quite a lot that I see. I'll retweet and favorite things that I like. I love the idea. The writer's room also retweet it. They love it. It creates a richer world for Peggy to be involved in, and it also is a way of us getting a sense of feedback about what the fans like and what they're responding to. So it helps to inform our work as well. And it also kind of shows me the incredible support that Peggy's had from the fans, and I think that should be celebrated and enjoyed as well, because there's a tremendous amount of talent and work that goes into lots of fan fiction that I've seen in fan art. So I will happily retweet something if I think it's good.
Hi, so first I want to thank you for being a very positive and strong role model for girls everywhere. There's not enough of those on television. Now, my question, because it's really great that Marvel has not one, but 2 shows right now that have strong female leads. If there were to be a showdown between Peggy and Melinda May, unbiased, who do you think would come out on top?
Well, Ming-Na and I have talked about this a bit. I think we'd have such different styles that we'd be like, damn, that was a great move, girl. I think we'd be so impressed with each other that we'd be like, what are we even fighting for? I think we just want to just go to the bar. That's to be quite frank. I mean, Ming-Na is such an awesome lady, and we've spent quite a bit of time with each other doing press tours and conventions this year. And she's, again, that's another, I think if they were on screen together, that's another example of a relationship that we born out of mutual respect rather than a need to fight each other. And we've traveled throughout this kind of crazy career path a little bit together, and he's taken the role in his stride, and he has, he's a creative soul, he's a sensitive soul, he's a romantic soul. He thinks deeply about what he's contributing to the world with his work, and wants to do better, and wants to develop himself as a director. He's great fun. He's the life and soul of the party. Very charismatic, very friendly, very polite, very well brought up, incredibly. God, I should marry the guy. He sounds perfect. Yeah, he's very soft lips, great bottom. No, I think that he's one of these people that is just going to get better as he ages as well. You know, I think Captain America's changed his life and has given him the means to have more creative control about the projects he gets made, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how he develops later on.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, Hayley.
Hi.
My name's Sarah.
Hello.
So I know we've talked a lot about Dub Smash Wars, and you obviously are the Dub Smash Queen. So I wanted to know if you were just as passionate about karaoke and what's your go-to karaoke song?
Oh, yeah. Well, I love the Rocky Horror Show. Yes, I've seen it. God, so many times. I mean, I was singing "I'm Just a Sweet Transvestite" when I was 7. My mum's like friends would come over and I'd be like singing "It's just I'm a sweet transvestite," and I'd be like, "Stop it, shut me up." And but I thought Tim Curry was incredible, and I adored him. He was so brilliant in that role. My goodness, he's so charismatic. So anything from the Rocky Horror Show, or Cabaret. I also like Men in Drag. I love it. I love Men in Drag, and anything kind of campy, spectacular, and fabulous. Kind of my karaoke go-to belters, really. Yeah, but see the Time Warp. Yeah.
I was just wondering, we know that Peggy has a usual at the cafe that Angie works at because she's said that to her before Angie has asked her, "Do you want your usual?" So I was just wondering, what's Peggy's usual?
Oh, it's black coffee with a shot of bourbon in it.
Hi, Peggy.
Hi.
I just want to be the first to say this, but I think the Peggy Carter show is better than Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Agent Carter.
That's you.
And if you need a boyfriend, I can be. Cody's Underdance Sketches on Instagram, that's my account.
Thank you.
So my question was, if there was a celebrity you could work with in Agent Carter, who would it be?
Oh, if we had a celebrity on our show?
Yes.
Oh, I know this sounds really morbid, but all my favourite actors are dead. like Gregory Peck and Paul Newman. And and also because they would be so great for the era, the 1940s, you know. So that's, I love Michael Fassbender. I wouldn't kick him off set. Who else? David Oyelowo, who's like, he played Selma. He's a phenomenal actor. Brilliant Shakespearean stage actor who I've known for many years. So he's great. There's a lot of British talent, some people that you might not have heard of but have careers on stage in England who I'm kind of obsessed with. And also my dear friend Ben Whishaw. Beautiful human being. So I would just, any excuse to be around him, I would just hang out and stalk him if I could. And found out where he lived. Yeah, I hope that answers your question. Thank you. Hi!
Hi. Okay.
That was awesome. Hi. Hello.
So, do you think Captain America is really hot?
Oh my god. Oh my god. Well, yeah, the only thing is, can I just say that it's really weird, like, to sit there in his trailer while he's getting his hairpiece put on and foundation. I'm like, I'd be like, how much makeup have you got on? You know, so it's the illusion of him looking like that, which kind of freaks me out a bit. The real Chris is, I think, absolutely beautiful. I really think he's hot with his beard. I'm gonna fight for him to keep that. Yeah. So yeah, I do. I think he's really hot.
Hi, I'm a fan of Peggy Carter, but my question is about your amazing performance on Black Mirror. You displayed such a range of emotions in that episode. I'm just wondering, how do you deal with displaying all the emotional spectrum? Does it follow you that day or in any other performances? Does it stick with you when you go home?
That was a particularly tough shoot because she was, in such turmoil for the duration of the story, and it was about 12 days of intense filming in the countryside, and it does stay with you a little bit. I think the actual experience is very cathartic and makes me, I think, more empathetic towards the characters that I'm playing if I can emotionally engage with them and relate to them in some way. And I do think kind of there's something to be said for actors who can access those deeper, darker parts of ourselves that on the surface in everyday life we try to hide and repress because they're not accepted. Certain emotions that are kind of considered taboo to be exploring. But so I find that the very nature of the art of storytelling gives every single emotion on the human spectrum some kind of place and validation to make it know that it's normal and human and okay to feel the way that we feel and what we feel. And that's the kind of, for me, the absolute joy and privilege of being in this industry that helps me kind of figure out what being human is and gives words and stories to otherwise nameless, confused concepts and thoughts and emotions that otherwise in my everyday life I would find hard to process. So it's a very therapeutic, very cathartic experience. And it does wash off, but it's kind of like, do you guys see the Pixar film Inside Out? Yeah. The thing I loved about that was the whole moral of that film was about the poignancy and the importance of sadness. That we're spending all our time being happy, happy, happy and chasing happiness all the time, but yet there has to be a place where sadness is allowed to be accepted, to be validated as part of the human experience, and it can actually teach us incredible lessons. And I think that's kind of the beauty about those roles like Black Mirror, that what it was able for me to do was to access those emotions that were kind of laying dormant in me.
Hello, Agent Coulson of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Hello.
Agent Carter.
Hi.
I'd like to ask, how do you feel about Dottie Underwood, or whatever her real name is?
Oh, she's a slippery fish. We haven't seen the last of her.
Yeah. Having her as Peggy's nemesis.
Yeah, it's great that we have, another, obviously Peggy has male baddies that she fights, but to have someone who's physically kind of her equal, she's a Black Widow, she's incredibly capable and she's very smart, and I think that shows kind of a balance for Peggy, like a flip side of the same coin. And so we'll be seeing more of her in season 2. Okay,
one more. This is actually the last one.
Hi, Hayley.
Hi.
I'm so glad I got a chance to ask this question because I thought I wouldn't. I'm glad I brought more than one because some of them have sort of already been answered. So the one I have left is, given how much the previous season emphasized Peggy struggling to prove herself and at least somewhat succeeding, now that she'll be moving to LA, will her reputation have begun to precede herself at all, or will she have to prove herself again to her new colleagues and superiors?
That's a great question. I've only read 2 of the episodes. We're filming them at the moment, and I know that she's got Sousa and Jarvis out there, so they know that who she is, which is good. So she's got their support. But there's many obstacles that she'll have to face. Of course, there'll be a new nemesis. There'll be new challenges for her. They'll be diving into her past a little bit and it will explain certain torments that she has. But I think there will, Peggy, by the very nature of the world in which it's set, means that she'll be constantly up against obstacles in which she has to break down barriers and break down walls, which is kind of the very nature of her character and what makes her so relatable. And I don't think that even in today's day and age, women are free from obstacles at all when it comes to having to prove themselves, particularly in the workplace. So because of that, I think it's all relevant that we put that in there in the series. Yeah. Thank you.
And is there anything else you want to say left to the room here?
Thank you all. I love you.
I love it.